Hey guys, it's Carl with GuitarBreakdown.com, and today we're going to check out the intro to Mean Street by Van Halen. It's from the Fair Warning album. And first thing you want to do is tune your guitar down a half step and try to get a tone that has enough distortion to make the harmonics come out and everything, but it shouldn't be so distorted that there's not even any dynamics left. So it's a kind of a fine line. Really the best way to get this sound is the way Eddie did, which is to turn up a Marshall Super Lead to 10 and let it rip, you know. But it's kind of hard to do that when you're practicing. It's also, you know, kind of hard to do that when I'm shooting a video here, so I'm just using a little small Marshall tube amp, and I'm overdriving it pretty good, just trying to compromise for you here to get the point across. But anyway, so get your guitar in tune and get your tone set up, and we'll walk through each of these little parts. Okay, let's look at the first part of the intro, which involves it's kind of like a drum rudiment kind of thing. Eddie is playing the slapped note, sort of like he taps two strings at once with the end of the index finger across the 12th fret of the E and B strings, and then there's a muted slap down here. And you gotta, what I do is kind of let my first finger sort of hold all the strings dead, and then this hand just sort of smacks them. You don't want to get notes in there. You want to just get, you know, as much of a dead slap as possible. But you need to leave the E string rattling a little bit, because you don't want to interfere too much with the note that you're going to have to pop with the thumb. Okay, so the thumb in this is going to hit the 12th fret just above the 12th fret to make that semi-harmonic. It's sort of like playing slap bass or something. Okay, so I'm going to break that little pattern down for you, and it's the first bit is just going to be the index, slap, thumb, slap. Okay. Okay, we'll do that again. Alright, so the next part is going to be index, slap, thumb, thumb, slap. Okay, now the next thing that we'll hear, the third segment, would be index, slap, thumb, slap, exactly like the first segment. Alright, so now we got three segments. The fourth segment is going to be index and then two slaps. Okay, let me do that again. Alright, so kind of weird here, because then you got to go right back to the beginning, so it's going to be kind of quick with this sort of, you know, twisting of the wrist on that. So you want to practice this stuff slow, and I'll put the segments in order for you. It wouldn't hurt to use a metronome for this, so I'm going to put this on a moderate speed at 80. 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... Okay, so that's really that's how I worked it up. I just used the metronome. It started at a speed I could understand, and I just worked my way up from there. Now, a couple of things I want to say about this segment, though, is that I'm starting it where Eddie seems to start it live. which seems to be, you know, probably what's most intuitive for him. And it works out rhythmically that way. You can analyze it. It's all 16th notes, sort of syncopated, but it all works out to be 16th notes, or 4 notes per beat. And he goes into the next segment of the intro in a place that, if you were to backtrack and transcribe it, put it on paper, and backtrack through it, you would see that it comes in a strange place rhythmically, that next segment, which is also steady 16th notes. So some people prefer to think of it as starting in a different place. But for me, it just seems like intuitively it starts where Eddie starts it. And I'm just kind of thinking that he just decided to cut the measure a little bit in a strange place to go into the next part. And that's part of the charm of it. It's really spontaneous sounding. It stays in time, but it's not all, you know, this segue from the first section to the second section would not work out to be perfect 4/4 time. So that's fine. It's really cool and creative, and it's probably cooler that way anyway. It definitely is, because he did it, and you can't beat Eddie Van Halen. Okay, so that's pretty much it for that part. Where it does make the segue is right when it does one of those double tap things. It fades in on the album, so you don't really know where one would actually be or how many reps it would have been. But you can just kind of you know, feel for yourself. Eddie Van Halen plays it different every time live, and it's one of those things you kind of leave it a little bit open how many reps you're going to do before you segue to the next part. Okay, so in the next section we'll look at the next section of the intro. Okay, so let's talk about the next segment of the intro, and in this segment there'll be tapped harmonics, mostly again at the 12th fret, and some hammer-ons and pull-offs at the 5th fret to start with. And I'm going to give you pretty much the Eddie Van Halen fingering. I've seen people do this a little bit differently, but what he does is he uses the ring finger for the hammer-ons in the first half of the phrase, and the second half of the phrase he's going to use the index finger, and that'll put him in position for the higher notes that he has to reach. So on the first half, let's just go string by string. It's going to be tapped harmonic at the 12th fret of the 6th string, then a hammer-on at the 5th fret, then tapped harmonic, 2 tapped harmonics actually, of the 12th fret of the 5th string, and a hammer-on again of the 5th fret, and then the next string will be a single tap to start with of the 12th fret, and then a hammer-on to the 5th fret again of the 4th string. So that much so far. Okay, so once we're up here, we hold the G after we've hammered onto it and tap the 12th fret again, giving a little bit different harmonic, and then a pull off. So just the D string by itself so far is that. Okay, then moving back down to the 5th string, another tapped harmonic, and then another hammer on at the 5th fret for the D at the 5th fret of the 5th string. Okay, so then sort of a little motif. That little rhythm motif that we hear on that open string foreshadows the rhythm of the main riff of the song. Kind of cool little detail there. So now we'll move into the next half of the phrase or of this segment, and this part is the same at the beginning. So same notes, but the difference is that he moves to the index finger for the hammer-on. So it's all still 12th and 5th fret so far. So to recap, or just to say it again, it's going to be a tap at the 12th fret, hammer-on at the 5th fret, double tap at the 12th on the 5th string, hammer-on at the 5th fret of the 5th string, and single tap, and then a hammer-on on the 4th string, the 5th fret of the 4th string, and then now instead of a tap and a pull-off, it's a tap and a hammer-on, to the tapped harmonic, and then a hammer-on to the 9th fret B of the 4th string. Okay, and then we're going to go to move the tapping hand up to the 14th fret of the 4th string while holding that same note. And then there's a pull off to the 5th fret and a hammer on to the 7th fret, the A on the 4th string, 7th fret. And then a tapped harmonic at the 12th fret of the same string, and then a tapped harmonic at the 11th fret of the same string.